तो क्या चल रहा है बॉयज?
Wow, चल रहा ये है that this is the last podcast of 2022, and since it's always been just the four of us yapping, we thought we'll change it up a little bit, right? And invite a person who's had quite an eventful 2022, who just had an amazing special drop yesterday. So put your hands together and welcome Veer Das. What up? What up?
What's
Veer?
up, boys? Hello.
Hello. It's so
Hello.
weird to see five people on the screen. It's truly.
Yeah. Kautuk, I really
Guys,
thought you were going to introduce.
I'm going to be honest for you. Like, my choice, it was either this or the Bharat Jodo Yatra. So it's you guys,
But Veer,
like
the last
audio.
time you were with us on a podcast, we were very different, and that was very different. This time it's a new new format, and
Yeah.
but tell us
Yeah,
how was your 2022 in one word, if you had to say your 2022.
Oh, good Lord. From terrorist to artist, is that a journey? I think that's the arc of the. No, it's been good, man. I hit the road harder than I've ever hit it before. Because usually I spent the pandemic like acting, and then I just took a year off to tour. So I did 183 shows this year, man, in 25
Dude,
months.
that's what we wanted to get to next, because we saw your post and it said 183 shows in a year.
Yeah. In a year.
How do you have 30 hours a day? You have 40 hours a day. How is it that you are able to do so many shows, then go do a film, then tour with Alien Chutney, then write a show, and then still have time for internet set? So how does that work?
And it's an important one only because people ask me with my advertising and stand-up, how do I end up having so much? So we
See, the thing is, you've seen the Prestige, now, where they're two guys and they double up as one guy, right? So, me and Ayushman double up as me, basically. Is what we do. So, like, I can do a show here and Ayushman can do a show there, and then we both do the movie. It's the Prestige, guys. That's all. No, I didn't act this year and I didn't direct this year. Like, I just toured because I one had built touchwood a decent touring career over the last 10 years, and then it just went away because of the pandemic. Then I got in some trouble. So then I was like, I need to go check if people still want to come and see me. So then I
Elaborate the trouble, Veer. Elaborate on the trouble.
So I did a YouTube video, right? And I've always been like, I'm stick to Netflix. I'm not gonna try YouTube. I'm not a YouTuber. And this year fucking reinforced that in a really big way. I should not have tried YouTube.
The best thing about Netflix is they don't have a comment section, right? You just don't need to know.
Yeah.
No, very few FIRs off of Netflix stuff. So I did one YouTube video and it kind of went viral, and then I had to run and hide, and then eventually emerge and write jokes and see if people would still come out and see me.
And they have all across the world. We've been seeing all your posts. We've been following your tour quite closely. You were also all across Edinburgh Fringe this year. If I get my stats right, you're doing some 35 shows in 25 days.
Yeah, man. But that sounds a lot more swaggy than it actually is, because the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, like 35 shows, ऐसा 90 लोग हैं basement में, सबको पसीना आ रहा है, right? And then Aadar is outside giving flyers.
Yeah.
Right? It's like a decidedly much smaller experience, but it's where you go to get the reviews that you will push your show with eventually when it comes out everywhere.
You're doing this amateur stuff of like 30 shows. Kautuk and me did 6 shows in 2 days, okay? don't I mean, come on. Just like
Because we couldn't afford to stay for one more day.
that is the truth.
You know what's the only time 6 shows in 2 days is an achievement if it's for the same audience. You just lock them in a room and you're like, you're going to listen to this shit again. Like, just a hostage situation.
But Veer, so this 183 shows that you did is for your new special that dropped yesterday on Netflix.
Yes. Yes.
Please tell us a little bit about it, because you've taken something that's happened to you personally, obviously, as most comics do, and then you managed to channelize it into a special. So tell us a little bit about how landing sort of came together?
Well, okay, landing is about a flight home. That's basically it. It's about going home and the flight taxiing. And the background to that flight home is I have been charged with sedition and defaming India on foreign soil. I've been nominated for an Emmy, called a terrorist on the news. I've been trending, and I'm expected to be arrested upon arrival. And an Air India air hostess comes up to me and offers me a glass of gin because she thinks I'm going to jail when I land. And so it's about this Air India auntie and me in the front cabin of the plane having a glass of gin because we both think this is the last time I will be free. And sort of retrospectively looking at how the hell one got into this soup and how one got into this much trouble. So from there, that forms just a sort of through line. And from there, we go to childhood and the world of today and like cancel culture and politics and news and, everything else. But it's about landing in your home country when you're in some severe trouble and you messed up really hard.
How long have you been doing stand-up?
This is year 15. I want to say 15, 16, somewhere there.
So it took you 15 years to start cracking airline jokes.
Basically.
What's up with airline peanuts?
Why does the pilot keep talking so much?
By the way, true story. When I was on the flight, and it was just like you didn't know what was going to happen when we landed, right? And I think the pilot was trying to be like just a friendly guy and disarm the situation with humor. And both my wife and me just looked shell shocked because we've been on the news for a week on every bulletin. And he comes out, he's like, I don't know if they'll let me into Indian airspace with you on board. Which is,
but in all honesty,
it's funny at all.
It's a good joke. But it's a good joke.
It's a damn good joke. Right? But timing, context.
Timing is, yeah.
No, but dude, I can't imagine. Like right now, we're sitting here, we're all laughing, you're laughing, but I can't even put myself or imagine the anxiety that a person would go through knowing what you did at that point in time, and also the uncertainty of what can happen, right?
I still haven't fully processed it. Like the one thing that I'm clear about is you never I think we all know this. Like it's a very Indian artist ethos where you take your feedback mouth shut, head down. So however you feel about my content, one way or the other, is a valid thought. So you never question that. And you never defend your content, which I don't try and do in this special. So it's never like I said this because blah blah blah. Because I feel like that's I think we all know the comedian who's reacting to his last special this special, and that's a feedback loop that none of us are a fan of.
And the material gets longer and longer with each special. It's just
exactly. So here's what happened to me the second it happened. Here's why it was scary, and here's what was funny as fuck about it when it did happen. So in that sense, I never reference the content of what we've done, but
the thing that I'm most curious about, just even from a student of the art form lens, is I've seen the show live.
Yes, you have.
And my thing is just the process of converting a show that is as contextual as it's a personal journey. So how do you make that relatable? Yeah. And then how do you take it to film? Because, just cinematically, suddenly the jokes start to seem, is this going to work on camera? Because stand-up as an art form is so personal, and you are telling a personal story, which may not necessarily be relatable. So is there material you're writing specifically for camera? Are you tweaking jokes? Are you dropping jokes?
Well, dude, having had a really prolific Bollywood career, no, I'm kidding. I think you have to do the opposite of everything you've ever done in front of camera. That's what's really important. So you've seen the fact that there are very real moments in the show, and they're few and far between. I don't, in a show like this, there's a temptation to sometimes milk the silence or milk the discomfort or
no personal attacks.
But you know what I'm saying? Comedians can sometimes lionize ourselves for our darkness, right? Or for our discomfort, etc. Here, it's really important that you don't seem performative in those moments at all, which is a trip, right? Because every time we do it on stage, we're playing for the 3,000 or the 2,000 or the 1,000. So it's slightly bigger.
Or
and then
40.
For the camera, you have to... or 40, sure, or 90 in the basement, right? But then for camera, you have to bring it down and just really talk like this, almost devoid of emotion, because the camera is that close on you. Because if you ever, even though Paisana, if it seems actingy in that moment, you're properly sucked.
So the way you perform for camera is so the taping is very different from a live show, and you've rehearsed that, or is it just an instinctive thing of toning down the performance?
I think for me, because I directed this one as well, there are 6 moments in the show, and none of them last more than 9 seconds, right? So let's say 60 seconds in the show where we're really up close and we're on this person, right? And you see sort of an extreme close up of the guy. And really what I tried to do in that moment was like look at one person in the audience, just so that it seems like a real honest connection instead of like one guy just looking out into blackness, and talking abstractly. So I'd pick like one person, make them uncomfortable as fuck, because it's prolonged eye contact, but at least it's real. That's
this guy this guy goes home, tells his wife, यार पूरा शो वैसे वीर मुझे देख के ऐसे बोल रहा था जैसे मैंने कुछ किया यार, मेरे को तो पसंद है.
It's like, if I don't get a dedication at the end of this, I'm going to be very disappointed. I feel used. So, yeah.
But also like this 2022 was like our first year out of the pandemic, right? Even though we had a little bit of Omicron in the beginning of Jan or whatever, and now supposedly coming back again a little bit. But truly the first year that we were actually out of the house. Veer has still gone ahead and shot another special while he's at home also, right? You've gone ahead, you've also shot a film. Tell us how much was it change for you from suddenly like being at home? Because I couldn't think of a single joke. Those 2 years, I don't think I wrote anything. The second I was able to get out, you're seeing people, meeting people, like even taking a flight, you're having those experiences wherein that you imbibe and you make a special or something out of it. So how is it different for you from the 2 pandemic years getting out into 2022?
Dude, it was vengeful almost, because my pandemic special was like a crowd special, right? So there's not really writing involved in that. You're just kind of winging it. But then you are faced with the whole, oh shit, man, we all just lived through something. Do we indulge and like wallow in it, etc., etc.? And you don't want to do that, right?
Yeah.
But then you can't really go on stage and pretend like COVID never fucking happened.
Didn't happen,
right?
Yeah.
So you can't swing towards the silly that much also. So you really have to think about like, I've been given a microphone again. What do I want to really talk about? So like to me, the perfect show, and I certainly haven't written it yet, meanders between those 2 things, right? Okay, audience came here to escape, but at no point can you be disingenuous about the shit that they've just gone through. And it kind of dips in and out of those 2 things.
Yeah,
it's a tough thing to crack.
There is a right metaphor somewhere out there about this experience. It's just that you need to find it. It's just
I haven't seen a comedian do a COVID joke where I'm like, you fucking nailed it.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
Because every comedian joke, myself included, is like, oh, this was so painful, or it sucked so much, or like some dark version of I'm happy this happened, etc., etc. But I haven't seen one where I'm like, that's it, that's the one.
Man, the number of Zoom shows sucked jokes. No, but what's odd is like there were certain things that happened for 2 years that almost became like habits. And I had this weird experience just like 3 days ago where I stepped out of the house, and every time I step out, I always check if I have my keys, I have my phone, I have my wallet. And then I was like, hey, I need my mask. And then I said, oh, that part's done for now.
Is it?
Yeah.
And like
for about 48 hours more until
48 hours. 2023 begins with Happy New Year and mask up.
Speaking of, I was just outside and I went with a mask. Because
it's the thing, like I had kept in case you forgot, so I had a mask in every pocket of every shirt or jacket that I had. And now it's like, kabhi-kabhi wo 10 rupees ka note mil jata hai na. I was like, arey, mask. You find old masks in pockets of things that you didn't, or wo dhul ke aa gaya hai.
Okay, so
by the way, I just want to point this out. Like, I just noticed this. Like, if you look at all 5 of these boxes, you can tell who's happily married on this Zoom call. Right? I'm just saying, like, if you look at like Neville, blank wall, Aadar, blank wall, ऐसा चुतिया bulb लटका हुआ है, वो तो अपने किताब पढ़ रहा है, वरुण भैंचोद हैरिट्स में रहता है, हैरिट्स से Zoom call कर रहा है, ये देख अभी
No,
there
but
is one Christmas tree, wallpaper, puppy,
see,
gifts.
that's the thing, right? Like this is an extension of our personalities, right? Like I only shoot on blank walls. I will not try to. There you go.
Good.
Just don't encourage Aadar. This becomes a thing otherwise. He's already taken out the hat. So like just
Oh yeah,
but
that had nobody cared.
No, I cared, but then I realized Veer is not wearing a hat anymore. So
Yeah,
That's why I said
I started doing
2010
this shit.
Veer.
so
What is that thing called, Veer? What is that thing
it's a
called?
buff.
It's called Look Like Farhan. It's the model. This is the Look Like Farhan head.
But Veer, so I wanted to touch upon another thing. Apart from obviously, you have a special that just came out.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your acting side of things in context to what has
Sure.
happened this year. Because one of the top things to happen in 2022, especially in India, was the infamous Bollywood boycott.
Yeah, man.
So, are you happy you didn't have a film come out?
Here's how I feel about it. Like everybody peeked behind the curtain in The Wizard of Oz for the first time.
Yeah.
You know, like the pandemic forced us all towards social media like we'd never been before, right? Now, for years and years and years, everybody who's an audience member was sold this bullshit that hero ही म्यूजिक के साथ ऐसा पर्वत के सामने खड़ा होता है और ये करता है और लोग भागते हैं, etc. And then because we all got on social media with the vengeance for the last 4 years,
Yeah.
we all did that shit every day on Instagram, right?
Correct.
So all of a sudden, you got to be the main character and you figured out what a facade this whole fucking thing is, right? So now you crave only authenticity or like Avenger level or RRR level like escapism. And anything in between is just not good enough for you. So
Correct.
I think that's where a little bit of this is coming from, at least the sensible audience feedback to this thing. Now, other boycotts that you can't predict. That could be anything from a swimsuit to a wall background to a
Yeah,
film.
exactly.
That's hard. Yeah.
and you know, we saw that because on one end that happened with say a Lal Singh Chadda, and you actually saw the tickets not sell as much and all of that jazz. And on the other hand, you had the same thing with Brahmastra that made 400 crores. You know, so do you think it eventually boils down to the actual product at hand, and the fact that this boycott scene is just incidental to it? That it like a good product will always find its market?
No, I don't think like nothing can make a bad film succeed.
Right.
I don't think anything can make a bad film succeed. But I do think certain things can make a good film fail.
Correct.
You know, I don't think it goes both ways. So
Right.
If your film is not good, there ain't anything you can do. Public nahi aayega. Public
Correct.
bahut samajhdar hai,
Correct.
you know, in that
Correct.
sense. But good films fail all the time for various types of reasons. Like that I see all the time. You know,
And
now,
then this
where you
sorry.
feel Lal Singh Chadda lies in that is your decision.
Oh,
You know
I
what I
actually
mean?
really
But-
liked it. I watched it.
Yeah.
I watched it on Netflix, and I was like, wait, it's not a bad movie. Like, it's fine. Yeah, I mean, we've seen Amir Khan do similar things in 3 movies. That's fine. But
Yeah.
inherently, the movie was fun.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
half an hour too long, but it didn't warrant the backlash that it sort of got. I feel.
I think you get over Amir in 3 movies in the first 30 minutes. Once they take him off the train,
Yeah.
like once you take
Yeah.
off the train, you get familiar with it. And then it's great. I think
You know what? I think so. My dad saw the movie and he was like, "I understand why people didn't see it. ये इतना sad क्यों है? उसकी girlfriend मर जाती है, माँ मर जाती है, सब मर जाते हैं."
Wow. Perfect tragedy.
But dude, Mona Singh
Yeah,
is
super.
was fantastic.
I could not take my eyes off her. She was amazing.
And Kareena.
Can I do
also.
one pretentious name drop story?
Oh yes, of
Yes,
course.
I was about to force you to do it, Veer.
All right. I did a Judd Apatow movie and I met him and we were just taking a walk in LA and he's like, come meet my friend. And I met this very sweet old guy sitting on his porch sneaking a Coke because his wife would not let him have a Coke. This is like some, Monday morning, 8 a.m., this and that, American guy. And he's like, so tell me about Lal Singh Chadda. Right? And I'm like, who are you? And he's like, I wrote Forrest Gump. It's a guy called Eric Roth.
Eric
Who
Roth.
who wrote like Dune, and like Forrest
wow.
Gump, Ali, and all of that stuff. So I had a coke with him and talked about like Amir and Lal Singh Chadda and why I thought it was a great movie, man. So like he
Wow.
was acutely,
What
he
a
made some
legend.
dough on it, man. He made some money on it. He was
By
quite
the
Yeah,
happy.
way,
of course he made
Veer,
some money.
I thought Judd Apatow was the
Was the
name
name drop exactly?
Yeah.
No, no.
इधर
Uh,
इधर हम लोग सब लोग की जल रही है कि वीर ने कैजुअली बोला कि मैं जड एपेटो के साथ वॉक कर रहा था ठीक है सो वी टेल अस अबाउट दैट एक्सपीरियंस मैन बिकॉज आई वॉच्ड द मूवी वाज अ लॉट ऑफ फन how did that sort of come about and what was the experience like working with every single person that we were so jealous of watching you work with like how was that
Every emotion that you go through between the age of 25 and 35, I experience between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. every single day. So you're like, I'm shit. I don't belong here. I'm amazing. I'm a king.
Yeah.
I should go home. Everything. But
Which is what the movie was also about on some level.
it was
about
a
actors.
fever dream of a movie, right? But it's very weird. So there's a Nigerian character in there, which a guy called Samson plays, and I would audition for that, and I didn't get it, right? And sort of 3 days after I got the news that I didn't get the part, they kind of said Judd wants to talk to you, so get on a Zoom with Judd. So I'm like, huh, okay, no problem, I'm available, right? And then he's really sweet, and he's like, hey man, like I don't know if you know this, but like a lot of comedy stars start out with like a scene or two in my movies. So come and we'll make up something. And I'm like, acha, aise hota hai? I didn't know. Like I've not researched your whole career. And he's like, I just signed Maria Bakalova, who's she was in Borat 2.
Borat too.
Yeah.
And you and come and we'll make this movie. So I'm like, okay, I'm thinking 1-2 days of shooting, maybe a week in London. I show up, it's this great cast. And Maria and I are at the table read 120-page script. We don't have a line in the whole script, not one line.
so everything's improvised
So at least for these like 5 or 6 comedy characters, right? So then day one of shooting, I think, is me and Keegan Michael Key, who's just like an improv god, right? Because Key and Peele. And so he's like, so Jack comes, he's like, so Veer, I think you're trying to sell Keegan like a sex glove, and Keegan, you're trying to convert Veer to Scientology and action, right?
wow
So, you're just sitting there. Takes you 30 seconds to be like, stop watching him act and like act.
yeah correct
We do a 3-minute scene. Cut. Judd comes back. He's like, all right, so Veer, try this, and like Keegan, try that, and action. We do it again. Cut. Moving on. I don't see him. Right. So I saw, you're terrified, right? And in one of the nicest, sweetest kind of slaps I've ever gotten in my career, I looked at Keegan and I was like, hey, so was that okay? Like, did I do all right? Was that okay for you? Very sweetly, very softly. He's like, yeah, man, I mean, you're here. And just walks away, which is a very nice, like, you're in the Olympics, bring your A game, and don't expect anybody to pat you on the back. Just be undeniable and like move on. So I just try to do that, man. Every day.
That's
It's like if
insane.
I'm on camera, I will be undeniable.
Super. But you've actually taken Indian comedy global with your Emmy nominations. You've had अरे यार नहीं थोड़ा तो आपका No, the reason I'm asking you this is because in the
Every time
double
you
down on
say
this.
shit like this, now somebody's making note. क्या बोला? Comedy को कहाँ लिया? Abroad.
Acha, Veer, you've traveled abroad for comedy this year, and since you've been there for so long, we've seen like a shift, right? Because RRR now has gone insane global, right?
And that's
it's
all
on
because of
every.
you.
Who
Directly.
Who knew that fucking wolves and tigers were so mad at colonialism? I had no idea. Like they had political beliefs.
Yeah, like the tiger is sitting at his house. यार ये अंग्रेज लोग का कुछ तो
what do
करना
you think?
पड़ेगा.
What do you think Junoon was?
Yeah, but I had no idea you could onboard them on political movements. Like I feel like this is a missed opportunity. But my favorite thing is to hear Americans gush about RRR while trying to pronounce RRR in America.
Which is in all effect the sound a tiger makes.
Yeah. But that scene, the truck skids and the fucking animals jump.
Yeah,
it's
come
the
out.
best movie of the year. It is insane.
No, so that's what I meant to ask. Like, so now that you are there, you are in these circles. There's a lot of buzz about like RRR especially, like every second Variety magazine, Falana Timka, everybody is giving it as one of the top 10 movies that should go to the Oscars and all of that. So that's what I meant to ask earlier. Do you think that there's been like a massive shift over the last year or so with Indian content, Indian actors, Indian comedians getting that much more widespread acclaim in the West?
I think what he's been able to do is tell at some level like an authentically Indian story, you know, and strangely enough, I think what's happening is authentically Indian stories are the most global Indian content there is. You know, so in a world where a comic from India or a film from India shows up, I think the world audience isn't like, now do some palatable version of India that I understand, or the white
Right.
savior version of India, or the fetishized version of India,
Or the Appu
uh,
version. Yeah.
or the Apu version of India for that matter. Like, tell me an authentically Indian story. Like, I always say this, like, I don't give a fuck about Ohio. Chappelle gets to take me to Ohio and talk about some random farm, right? I don't live there, will never go there, but I can feel, taste, experience it through this guy, and I'm on board because it's a cool enough story. So I think at some level, RRR does that. Like, as grandiose and as escapist as it is, it's still very authentically us, which I think is what is translated. You know?
Okay. Okay.
Also,
Sweet.
like there's one very fun thing that's happened this year, and like it's so crazy that this has happened. For the first time, Bollywood has gotten shaken up by regional cinema,
Hell yeah, man.
right?
Yeah,
Like
Yeah.
the top box office earners are no longer Bollywood movies. So the one question, like an insight that you would have on like why do you think this has happened? Is there something specific about now that this has happened? Or was
I
this
think,
coming for a while?
I mean, look, Bollywood does what Bollywood does, right? And leaving, parking that completely aside, I think regional cinema has always had better storytelling and better technical work,
Technical
you know,
execution. Yeah.
right? And better performances. But the minute that regional cinema sort of leaned into a little bit of glam, just a little bit, you know, just like 5% more glam, they covered everything that Bollywood couldn't
Yeah.
cover. You know, it was still great storytelling, still great technicians, still great performances at the highest level, but then suddenly just a
But
little
there's
bit more
one
glam, which was the
gloss
only
in
thing
the
that
grading.
Bollywood had on them.
Yeah,
Right.
the gloss in grade.
Yeah, just a little bit. That's the only thing Bollywood had on them. And the minute they figured that out, you know, that's it. It was off to the races, I think. That's my 2 cents on it. I don't know.
You know, so quickly, if I had to just ask you, what according to you was, say, maybe like the top 3 moments that happened in 2022? Because we have a whole list, and we want to get yours first because we know you also have to head somewhere. So, 3 top things according to you that happened in 2022.
Elon Musk, Twitter.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
That's
We'll
one.
talk about that.
When small dick energy meets big wallets, is the is the only way I know how to describe it. Which is, I've never been so conflicted about a purchase where I'm like such a big fan of the man,
Yeah.
and just watching a train wreck on fire smashing into a dumpster, you know,
Yeah.
which is heavily conflicted. Oscar slap. I think for all comedians,
Yeah.
Oscar slap
Yeah. Dude,
is up
the
there.
problem was the minute that happened, after that, when you went out of the house and you met anybody, it doesn't make a difference whether they were people your age, your friends, your dad's friends, everybody's coming and doing,
Yeah.
It was funny for like 2 days. And I'm like, buzz ho gaya abhi yaar. People couldn't get over it. Veer, what was your, what did you feel when you saw that happen? Like,
I was like, dude, Chris Rock has a jaw, man. Like,
Yeah.
that can take a hit. You know, like that was my
Yeah,
first
yeah.
thing, because he was like, yeah, and he was like back in a second, like one of those, you know, reflex. I was like, guys, that can take a hit.
Did you also think it was a bit? Like for a second,
Yeah,
did you think it was a bit?
For sure. I was 100% sure it was a bit.
Yeah.
but I think Chris Rock also thought it was a bit that he wasn't informed about.
Yeah.
Right? Like, because after getting slapped, he came back also and he's like, yeah, I just got slapped by Will Smith with,
Yeah,
like,
he
you know,
was
with that
yes anding it.
typical comedians, this, like, he didn't let it affect
But
him,
to me,
which I think.
the saddest moment of that night isn't the slap. It's I think the after party afterwards.
Yeah.
Where like Will Smith with like Oscar is dancing to like getting jiggy with it, like nothing ever happened, right? And he's surrounded by all of these people who you know are going to bail on him in 10 hours. You know what I mean? In 10 hours, all these people are going to be gone. But he's like getting jiggy with it. Like, these are my friends. We're all in this together. And that to me was a sad visual. And then I have to say, I think like I was on a flight when the mask mandate was lifted. Like the captain made the announcement in the States of the mask mandate going when I was on a flight. So I got to be there for like everybody's like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Throwing the
And
mask
so
on
that
each
thing, we
other's
all
face.
got COVID on that flight. Only. Like, I was just like,
No more mask. Be like, ha.
yeah. So I was there for that.
And Veer, are you a sports fan? Football, FIFA? Who do you watch it? Who do you support? No, neither of
No,
the sports.
I was just like, no, when I saw Argentina versus France, I was just like, I think Indians support the realistic visa country. You know what I mean? Like, Schengen, तो मतलब France.
But किसी को
my favorite-
WhatsApp forward आया था क्या? Messi and Ronaldo
SBI
never
Bank.
scored against Team India.
Of course.
Dude, my favorite moment of the thing is that Macron is the French president.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Mbappe,
Yeah.
and he's
And
like
he's
trying to like
consoling.
yes boy him, you know, and like console him. And that guy's like, man, मैं तेरे को अब भी थप्पड़ मारने वाला हूँ." Like, you know, like just in front of him, like he's just so pissed.
And you
Like,
know,
that's my favorite.
now all these people coming in and trying to console sports persons who do this on a daily basis. They're the ones taking the pressure, and they're the ones who are on the field doing it. After Macron, there was who's that guy? Yaar? What's his name? Salt Bay. So there was a whole bunch
that
of videos
guy.
of him. Yeah.
Mhm.
So he's shown up. Somehow he's gotten access to the field, which is actually a security threat, but he knows people, I guess. He's gone and pulled Messi, same photo. And Messi said no 3 times.
While
Eventually,
Messi is walking
like-
to the World Cup presentation ceremony.
Ceremony.
Oh, by the way, you didn't see the stuff they cut out. He went to the whole France team. He did this. Kyunki jale pe nam.
Bro, so I've eaten at his restaurant, right?
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, that Nusrat or whatever I got
And
taken.
It's average.
Ghanta I can afford. It was like an event, so I got, you know, a free meal or whatever. And that thing, now first all the waiters do that thing with all the meat, right? Then some meat is wrapped in gold and they cut it.
Gold,
Like they like, you know, and they flip it into your mouth and all of that shit, right? So I'm going with typical like Indian man standoffish energy. Like I'm not opening my mouth for anyone. You know, like fucking keep your churi and your salt to yourself.
Yeah.
Bro, they put one piece of meat in my mouth. In 5 minutes, like a bitch, I'm like,
So it's not. So
like,
it's not
I was
bad.
on board.
So it's not bad. It's good.
so fucking good, dude.
Okay. So at least it's not
It
bad.
can't be bad. You can't serve bad food. Like no matter how much gimmick you do, at the end of the day, you have to serve. मेरे को बस ये लगता है कि यहाँ पे touch हो रहा है, they need to be washing this part of their hand as well.
Yeah,
That
but it's
is
salt,
like-
so
that-
it'll wash it off anyway.
But dude, it's all about chucking shit into your mouth and not just meat.
Yeah.
Like dessert को भी like kulfi को भी ऐसा मुंह में फेंक रहा है like चाकू के साथ. You're just like, yes, it's an amazing experience.
You can tell
You
me
feel violated at the end.
But they don't
Bro,
get it
मेरे पास
wrong.
चाकू छुरी है.
Like they don't get it wrong. Like it doesn't end up anywhere else. Like if they're tossing
No,
it.
like I saw what's that range of Chinese restaurants in the States where they do all the teppanyaki
Yeah,
thing.
Oh, yeah.
and like,
Japanese
yeah.
ones, huh? Teppanyaki.
Yeah.
So they're all trained, man. I think they got all those guys. TJ Maxx. No, TJ Maxx is
TJ Maxx
Is
is
a
a shopping.
shopping-
Benny Hanna's.
Yeah.
Benny Hanna's.
Benny
Is the-
Hanna's, yeah. But you know, with this Salt Bay thing, the meat is so good and it's so expensive that even if they miss and it falls on the ground, I think I'll pick it up. I'm like, छोड़ यार,
Gold foil,
बहुत
gold foil.
But just to clarify, all the meat is mutton and chicken. Just to be clear, right?
It's
Put that
paneer,
out
Veer.
there.
It's paneer. It's paneer.
Yeah, it's funny. Man,
Paneer
they do
cooked
shit
in
with
special
tofu
sauce.
that is amazing, guys. Like just great tofu.
और क्या
recipe.
बैंगन का भरता बनाया उसने यार, मजा आ गया. So Veer, again, like I know you have to go. Before you go, anything you'd like to say to all the people watching about your special and any other
I
fun
would say-
anecdotes from your
No,
shoot
wait.
or your tour that you would
Instead
tell
of
us?
fun anecdotes, if you can give us 3 predictions that you would make for 2023 or 3 things that you would wish to happen in 2023.
3 things that I wish to happen in 2023. I'm curious to see where this zombie virus goes. Like, I want to see if that's a legit thing. because then I've done a movie about it and I feel better prepared than the rest of the world. Like that's my
Babaji ki
arrogant thing to myself.
booty. La la
Yeah.
la la
Uh,
la.
I feel like stand-up's gonna change remarkably in 2023. Like it's
In
going
what
to
way?
it was very deep and profound, and then it's gone really silly, and we're back from the pandemic now. Let's all do silly jokes,
Hmm.
and it's gonna have to find something new. News comedy is not valid in the formats that it was before.
Hmm.
Late
Yeah.
night comedy is not valid in the formats that it was before. Uh, Podcasts are feeling fatigued. You know what I mean? Because there's so many of them.
Yeah.
Hit
Now
the
this
nail
one
right on the head.
you know,
No, this one also.
so I feel like stand-up's going to find some sort of a radical new expression avenue this year, which I think is going to be cool. And then I just think that I think we're going to go to war. Like at some point, there's going to be some sort of a global this thing. Like yeah.
These are
Which is
really
quite
cheerful
possible.
ones.
I really like how Kautuk said there are 20 predictions for 2023 that you would like happen.
Yeah. कुछ अच्छा, कुछ sweet.
No, but everything he said is more material, so I get it. Like,
Yeah.
Bro, isn't that the comedian's curse? Where like in
Yeah.
the worst
Yeah.
moment of your life, you're just
Yeah.
like, this is 3 minutes.
yeah.
No, so
Eventually.
that's what I wanted to ask you. Like when all of those things were happening to you after on that flight, was there a
How
part
quickly?
of you? How quickly did you suddenly go from, you know what? Okay,
For
I'm going to
knowing
start.
Veer 6 a.m. next morning, no? Because some voracious writing
Ma-
habit.
No, my first, I'll tell you the first joke, and that's a good note to push the special also, which is it happened 2 months. I couldn't write a joke for 2 months about it. Like I just wasn't ready. And it was 2 months of dealing with, paperwork and all of that stuff. But first joke was, 6 a.m., but I was on the BBC homepage. On the BBC homepage, there was a big headline that said, Veer Das, a comedian polarizes the nation, was the headline. Do you know how badly you have to fuck up before the British say that you divided India? That's the first line that I wrote.
That's a
at that
great
point.
one.
Yeah.
That's damn good.
Yeah.
All right, so Veer special landing is on Netflix, so go and check it out. Veer, thank you so much for doing this.
Bye, boys.
We actually don't want to let you go. We want you to be here, but we know that you have a lot of other work happening. Best of luck with all of that. Best of luck with the special, and we hope to have you on TIS again. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, man. Thank you. The
Awesome.
next time I
Thank
come,
you,
that
man.
Christmas tree better still be there. I'm just saying. Like, let's get that background every time. All right, boys. Take care of yourself.
All right,
God
man.
bless.
Take care. Thank
Bye.
See
you.
you guys.
Bye.
Adios.
See you.
Hello, guys. This is Bawa, the editor. And this is the end of part one. We have a second part that's going to come very soon, before the end of the year. It's almost 2 hours long. In fact, I think it's slightly more than 2 hours long. So it's going to be a fun episode. But I know that the guys don't watch the episodes. And they have chosen to not give me an opening and a closing for this episode. As you will see at the end of the second episode, at the end of the second part, you will see they have not given me anything. And I can guarantee you that they will still not watch the episode. So what I want you to do in the comments is just say, Bap post-credit scene, great post-credit scene, amazing, whatever you want. Okay. Just don't say what I've done. All right. And when we do the second episode of 2023, because we've already shot the first one, I can guarantee you that they still wouldn't have seen it. Okay, so this is just between us, but enjoy both parts. We've had a lot of fun making them. Thank you so much and have a great, great, great new year.